It hangs from the ceiling like a relic from another era. Cold steel, thick and heavy, swaying gently in the shadows of an empty meat packing floor. The blood that once ran down its curve is long dry, but its meaning, its purpose, never faded. To most people, it's just a tool. But in Chicago's underworld, it became a symbol, a warning, a promise. For decades, whispers followed a man who ruled the South Side with calm precision. Some said he earned the name because of his methods. Others insisted it was because once you owed him, once you took his money, you were on the hook forever. Well, welcome back to James on the Mob. I'm James Jenkins, your host and narrator. In this episode, we cover, if you haven't guessed it already, the life of Angelo James LaPietra, the Hook. The history of organized crime in Chicago during the latter half of the 20th century is defined by the tension between the localized, violent enforcement of street territory and the sophisticated interstate extraction of wealth from legitimate economies. At the fulcrum of this dynamic stood LaPietra, a figure known in the underworld and federal law enforcement simply as the Hook. As the capital regime of the 26th Street Crew, often referred to as the Chinatown Crew or the South Side Crew, LaPietra commanded one of the most geographically strategic and operationally critical factions of the Chicago outfit. His tenure, spanning the critical decades of the 1970s and 80s, coincided with the organization's zenith of political influence and its eventual destabilization through a tetralogy of landmark federal investigations and cases. Operation Strawman, Operation Greylord, Operation Gambat, and later, after LaPietra had died, the final nail would be administered in the famous Operation Family Secrets investigation and trial. Angelo James LaPietra was born on October 30th, 1920, in Cicero, Illinois, a place whose name had already become synonymous with organized crime. Only a few years earlier, Al Capone had moved his headquarters there to escape pressure from Chicago's political apparatus and its police. Cicero was not just a suburb, it was a fortress, a company town where breweries, gambling dens, speakeasies, and brothels operated under the protection of the outfit. Police cooperation was routine. Politicians were bought cheaply. Violence was the cost of doing business. Angelo's parents were first-generation Italian immigrants from the Naples region of Italy. And, like many immigrants, the LaPietra family lived modestly. Angelo's childhood was shaped by the contrast between the harsh realities of poverty and the visible prosperity of outfit-connected men who controlled the streets around him. By the early 1930s, Cicero was a mosaic of vices: gambling rooms hidden behind grocery stores, taverns that never closed, and back alley bookmakers who took bets on everything from horse racing to baseball games. This was not an underworld hidden from the children, it was the world outside their windows. Angelo grew up watching men who carried themselves with authority: collectors, enforcers, outfit associates, men who were feared, respected, and well paid. School was not an environment where young Angelo flourished. The economic devastation of the Great Depression pushed many teenagers toward street life. For boys with sharp instincts and physical toughness, the outfit offered opportunity. Angelo was not loud, impulsive, or reckless. He was observant, quiet, and controlled. Precisely the kind of young man older outfit operatives sought out. By 1937, Angelo had already begun associating with local street crews connected to Cicero gambling operations. And by 1939, at just 19 years old, he compiled a criminal record that would have ended most young men's futures, but it only marked the beginning of his. That year, his name appeared in connection with several capital charges: murder, kidnapping, narcotics, and auto theft. These were not the crimes of a newcomer testing the waters. These were outfit-sanctioned jobs requiring a degree of trust and the protection of older men who saw potential in him. Yet Angelo did not serve significant time, because in Cicero, in 1939, justice was negotiable. Judges were compromised, police officers communicated regularly with outfit bagmen, prosecutors received campaign donations from men tied to gambling halls, and a young man who kept his mouth shut could be protected. Angelo did exactly that. He proved he could handle pressure, that he would not implicate others, and that he could be trusted not to speak when threatened. His silent loyalty marked him as useful, and the outfit, well, they took notice. No man rises in the outfit without a sponsor. For Angelo, this sponsor was Joseph "Joey Doves" Aiuppa, one of the most disciplined, ruthless, and financially savvy bosses Cicero had ever known. During the 1940s, Aiuppa controlled nearly every illegal operation in Cicero: gambling rooms, handbook operations, card games, slot machines, protection rackets, and later, control over Cook County's political networks. Aiuppa preferred men who were reliable, discreet, and efficient. Men who did not brag, who did not start unnecessary wars, or who did not give interviews or make scenes. Angelo fit this mold perfectly. During these years, his presence was frequently noted in several key outfit establishments, like the Turf Club, a Cicero gambling hub where bets were placed openly under police protection; the Padlock Club, another outfit center where Aiuppa held court; and the Post Time Tavern at 4824 West Cermak Road, a location deeply tied to gambling and collections. In these back rooms, Angelo learned how the outfit operated, how the money moved, how disputes were settled, how bookmakers were taxed, and how the political machine protected the entire structure. He observed Aiuppa's leadership closely, the way he managed loyalty, structured earnings, and enforced discipline without needing to raise his voice. As an enforcer, Angelo's responsibilities included collecting street tax from independent gambling operators, enforcing debts owed to outfit bookies, removing rivals or independents who tried operating without permission, ensuring outfit partners paid on time, and protecting gambling operations from any interference. He became known for his calm demeanor during violent tasks. He was not impulsive, and he didn't leave witnesses. He followed instructions exactly and never added his own embellishments. This professionalism earned him respect. During the late 1940s and early 1950s, Angelo deepened his ties with other rising outfit figures. One of these was Frank "Skids" Caruso, a powerful South Side figure connected to political operations in the First Ward. Although their territories differed, Angelo and the Caruso faction frequently crossed paths in matters of gambling, tavern control, and neighborhood discipline. And though it wasn't known at this particular moment, Angelo would succeed Frankie Skids as the de facto leader of the 26th Street crew in the mid-1970s. Angelo's rise also placed him under the wider authority of Anthony "Joe Batters" Accardo, the outfit's strategist and de facto leader. Accardo valued men like Angelo, quiet earners who kept the organization out of the limelight and maximized profits. And while there is no evidence of a direct personal mentorship between Accardo and LaPietra, Accardo approved Angelo's rise, a signal of complete trust. By the mid-1950s, Angelo was no longer just an enforcer. He was a man being groomed to run a crew. By the mid-1950s, Angelo LaPietra had reached a point in his criminal development where he was no longer simply an enforcer or collector for the outfit. His years under Joey Aiuppa and Cicero had shaped him into something far more valuable, a man capable of managing a complex network of rackets without drawing unnecessary attention. He had proven himself dependable, strategic, and above all, discreet. Those qualities made him the ideal candidate to expand organized crime operations on Chicago's South Side. The area that would become Angelo's empire, 26th Street, stretching through Bridgeport, Armour Square, and Chinatown, was uniquely suited for a rising mob leader. And although he was not the leader at this point, he entered the 26th Street crew with strong creds. The 26th Street crew's neighborhoods were ethnically Italian, socially closed, and deeply loyal to their own. Outsiders were watched, strangers were questioned, and those who grew up there understood how power flowed through taverns, clubhouses, ward offices, and street corners. Angelo would even eventually move into the neighborhood. By the late 1950s, Angelo had effectively planted the seeds of what became the 26th Street crew, sometimes referred to as the Chinatown crew. Unlike the noisy, violent street gangs of the Prohibition era, this new crew operated with quiet precision. Its members did not flaunt wealth or run wild in the streets. They were businessmen, bookmakers, lenders, collectors, and enforcers, all reporting upward to the hook. It was during this period that Angelo cemented his working relationship with Frankie Breeze Calabrese Sr., a figure who would later become infamous in his own right. Calabrese was a natural fit for the type of crew that Angelo was building: loyal, hardworking, and ruthless when necessary. Frankie Breeze excelled in loan sharking and collections, enforcing debts with a mixture of intimidation, violence, and relentless pressure. Together, Angelo and Frankie Breeze developed one of the most profitable ushery operations in outfit history. Frankie's younger brother, Nicholas Calabrese, also eventually entered the crew. Nick was quieter, more introspective, and as later decades would reveal, burdened with a heavy conscience. But in the 1970s, he served as a reliable enforcer who helped Angelo maintain control over a wide range of Southside rackets. Angelo's younger brother, James, Jimmy the Lapper, LaPietra, also held a trusted position within the crew. While Angelo maintained a calm public demeanor, Jimmy was more outwardly forceful. Together, the brothers created a balance between management and muscle that kept the crew tight, efficient, and profitable. What made Angelo's organization effective was its simplicity. Every business in his territory, taverns, gambling houses, bookmakers, loan shops, paid something. Some paid weekly, others paid monthly, but all paid. This steady stream of cash flowed upward to Angelo, then to Cicero, and finally to the outfit's leadership. As long as the money flowed and no unnecessary violence drew attention from the law, Angelo's authority expanded. It was during these years that Angelo's nickname, The Hook, began to circulate more widely. The origin of the name has always been the subject of rumor and conflicting accounts. Some outfit investigators insisted it referred to his practice of keeping borrowers perpetually on the hook through extortionate interest rates. Others claim the nickname referenced violent torture methods, meat hooks, blow torches used against those who defied him. While the more sensational stories were likely exaggerations created by informants, the effect of the nickname was unmistakable. It inspired fear, and for Angelo, fear was a business tool. By the late 1960s, Angelo's crew had become one of the highest earning units in the Chicago outfit. The money was consistent, the political protection was solid, and the leadership was stable. And the outfit leadership, Accardo, Iupa, and later Jackie Cerrone, trusted Angelo completely. But power never exists in a vacuum. As Angelo's influence grew, so did his responsibilities. During the 1960s, Chicago's political landscape was dominated by the First Ward, the downtown district controlled by two men, Alderman Fred Rhodey and political fixer Pat Marcy, born Pasqualino Marciano. These men, who were alleged to be made outfit members, served as the outfit's direct pipeline into city government. They controlled judicial appointments, influenced police assignments, and manipulated zoning, licensing, and municipal employment. For Angelo's crew, the First Ward was not simply an ally, it was the backbone of their protection. Outfit soldiers from the South Side routinely received city jobs arranged through First Ward patronage. These were often low-show or no-show jobs in departments such as streets and sanitation. The jobs served several purposes. They offered legitimate income on paper. They offered health care. They gave operatives mobility across the city, and they created plausible deniability when federal investigators asked how these men supported their families. Angelo understood that political influence was not a luxury. It was a necessity. Without it, gambling dens would be raided more frequently, bookmakers would be arrested, and debtors would be more likely to seek police protection. With First Ward backing, however, Angelo's crew operated with confidence. Rhodey and Marcy helped ensure that key cases involving Angelo's men, and sometimes Angelo himself, were assigned to favorable judges. Prosecutors were pressured or persuaded to drop charges. Police officers received quiet instructions to stay away from certain businesses or neighborhoods. This mutually beneficial relationship strengthened over time. As the political machine gained more influence, Angelo's territory became even safer for outfit activity. And while Angelo maintained a low public profile, the effects of his presence were felt everywhere in Bridgeport and Armour Square. Bars aligned with the outfit thrived. Independent gambling houses disappeared or were absorbed. Loan operations expanded and became more profitable, and the crew's network of bookmakers grew across the South Side, feeding millions of dollars annually into the outfit treasury. By the late 1960s, the Chicago outfit had long shifted from its Prohibition-era brutality into a more sophisticated criminal enterprise. Under the strategic oversight of Tony Accardo, the organization morphed into a corporate structure, divided into crews that operated like subsidiaries. Each crew had a defined territory, rackets, and responsibilities. Each sent tribute upward to the top. Angelo's role in this system grew significantly during this period. Loan sharking had become one of the outfit's most profitable operations, and Angelo controlled large segments of this market. His loan shark books were legendary for their size. Interest rates ran as high as 10% per week. Business owners, gamblers, and workers turned to him for cash because the banks would not lend to them, and because the consequences of failing to repay ensured that debts were always taken seriously. Bookmaking also expanded under Angelo's leadership. Betting parlors operated discreetly behind storefronts, in back rooms of restaurants, and sometimes inside union halls. These operations were coordinated with Cicero bookmakers and connected directly to outfit wire rooms that monitored horse racing and sports across the country. Extortion expanded as well. Business owners paid for protection, a euphemism for allowing the outfit to operate undisturbed. Tavern owners paid for the right to run games or operate slot machines. And if someone resisted, if someone tried to open an independent gambling operation or refused to pay a debt, Angelo's enforcers resolved the issue swiftly. This period also saw increased involvement in narcotics, though Angelo himself maintained distance from direct drug trafficking. The outfit had always taken a cautious approach towards narcotics, fearing the severe sentences associated with drug crimes. But some members of Angelo's crew had ties to heroin distribution networks. Angelo's role appears to have been supervisory rather than operational, ensuring that narcotics activities did not jeopardize the crew's more stable revenue streams. As Angelo's influence grew, so did his reputation within law enforcement circles. Federal agencies, especially the FBI, began tracking the 26th Street crew more closely. But with little direct evidence and with powerful allies in the First Ward, investigations rarely produced meaningful results. Yet while Angelo's Southside empire flourished, the outfit as a whole was preparing for something larger, something that would eventually draw Angelo into a national conspiracy. That conspiracy centered on Las Vegas. When the Chicago outfit realized the profit potential of Las Vegas casinos, they sought ways to exploit the system without owning casinos themselves. Through political pressure and influence within the Teamsters Union, they secured massive loans from the Central States Pension Fund to finance the construction and operation of casinos in Nevada. But the real profit was not in ownership. It was in the skim. The skim involved removing cash from casino counting rooms before it was ever recorded in the books. Since unrecorded cash left no paper trail, it was effectively untaxed and untraceable. Millions of dollars flowed out of Las Vegas this way, transported across the states by trusted couriers and divided among the participating crime families: Chicago, Kansas City, Cleveland, and Milwaukee. Angelo LaPietra became one of Chicago's primary liaisons in this operation. His responsibility was to maintain communication with Kansas City mob figures, especially Kansas City underboss Carl Tuffy DeLuna, whose meticulous handwritten notes, later seized by the FBI, detailed meetings, cash transfers, and outfit personnel involved in the skim. Angelo ensured Chicago's share was received, counted, and distributed correctly. He managed couriers, coordinated travel schedules, and oversaw the flow of cash from Nevada to Illinois. His experience in the 26th Street crew, particularly his mastery of loan sharking and collections, made him uniquely suited for managing multi-state financial operations. Federal surveillance eventually uncovered portions of the skim, leading to Operation Strawman, one of the most significant anti-organized crime operations of the 1970s. Many high-ranking outfit figures were indicted, including Joey Aiuppa, Jackie Cerrone, and Angelo LaPietra. However, there were other factors contributing to the fall of Angelo's world. As federal pressure increased through the late 1970s and early 1980s, the government began focusing not only on criminal activities, but also on the corruption that enabled the outfit to operate for decades without disruption. Two major investigations emerged: Operation Greylord, targeting corruption in the Cook County judicial system, and Operation Gambat, targeting corruption in Chicago's First Ward political machine. Both of these investigations indirectly touched Angelo's world. Greylord exposed bribes, case fixing, and a network of judges who delivered favorable rulings for defendants connected to the outfit. Though Angelo was not indicted under Greylord, many of the judges implicated had presided over cases involving his men. Operation Gambat went deeper into the First Ward, revealing the inner workings of Fred Roddy and Pat Marcy, who had protected Angelo's territory for decades. Witnesses and cooperating informants described how case outcomes were purchased, how zoning decisions were sold, and how political patronage shielded outfit members from police scrutiny. Although Angelo was again not charged in Gambat, the operation crippled the political protection upon which he and other outfit captains had long relied. Federal attention intensified, and by the mid-1980s, the government was prepared to strike. As stated earlier, Angelo LaPietra was indicted alongside his boss, Joseph Aiuppa, and underboss John Jackie Cerrone. The trial was a spectacle, laying bare the national scope of the outfit's power. Facing insurmountable evidence, on January 21, 1986, the leadership of the Chicago outfit pleaded guilty. LaPietra was sentenced to 16 years in federal prison and fined $143,000. This conviction was a watershed moment. It decapitated the Chicago outfit, removing its most experienced leaders from the street. However, the organization did not collapse. The structure LaPietra had built, the delegation of authority to capable street bosses like Frank Calabrese Sr., allowed the 26th Street crew to continue functioning, although with reduced efficiency. Unlike many mob figures who denied involvement or sought to discredit federal evidence, Angelo maintained the same calm silence he had displayed since his teenage years. He did not cooperate, and he didn't negotiate. He accepted the legal process as another part of the life he had chosen. And even in prison, LaPietra acted like a king. In 1988, while locked up in Connecticut, he decided prison food wasn't up to his standards. His brother, James Jimmy the Lapper LaPietra, and a crew member named Joseph Shorty Lamantia organized a smuggling operation, not for drugs and not for weapons, but for Italian food. They were caught smuggling high-end pasta and meats into the penitentiary. The authorities were not amused. LaPietra was transferred to a harder facility in Virginia. It's a moment that showed both his arrogance and the undying loyalty of his crew, men willing to catch federal charges just to get the boss a decent meal. Despite his ferocious reputation, LaPietra maintained the community pillar facade until the end. In October 1996, while LaPietra was still in prison, 25th Ward Alderman Danny Solis presented him with a plaque and award for his leadership and commitment to the community, recognizing him and the Italian Club as decision makers. The Italian Club referred to a structure and club LaPietra had established, a new centralized headquarters moving from the 628 West 26th Street crew namesake address. In 1981, utilizing proceeds allegedly skimmed from Las Vegas casinos, LaPietra founded the Old Neighborhood Italian American Club. Located at 3031 South Shields Avenue, the club was a significant upgrade from the rented storefronts of the Caruso era. It was a purpose-built brick structure designed to serve both as a fortress against law enforcement and a community center for the neighborhood. The building featured prominent members-only signage and was equipped with security measures to frustrate surveillance. It provided a sanitized, semi-legitimate front for their activities. To the public, it was a charitable organization, hosting festivals, sausage roasts, and ceremonies honoring veterans. To the FBI, it was the club, the nerve center where LaPietra held court. At the time of his death, Angelo LaPietra probably would have never guessed that it could get any worse for the Chicago outfit. And if he had thought that the 1986 Strawman trial had decapitated the outfit, he would see that the 2007 Operation Family Secrets trial disemboweled it, and that his name would be a star feature of it. The catalyst for this historic prosecution was the betrayal of the Calabrese family. Frank Calabrese Jr., the son of LaPietra's top street boss, approached the FBI in 1998, offering to wear a wire on his father while they were in prison together. Frank Jr. was driven by a desire to escape his father's abusive control. This wiretap evidence led the FBI to Nicholas Calabrese, Frank Sr.'s brother and a hitman for the 26th Street crew. Confronted with DNA evidence linking him to the 1986 murder of outfit member John Fecarata, Nick Calabrese became the first made man in Chicago outfit history to become a cooperating witness. His testimony unlocked decades of cold cases directly implicating Angelo LaPietra in multiple murders and extortions. One of the most damning revelations of the trial concerned the extortion of Victor Cacciatore, a wealthy Chicago real estate developer and banker. Cacciatore testified that in the years preceding the trial, he was targeted by the 26th Street crew in a calculated campaign of terror designed to extract millions of dollars. Enforcers Nick Calabrese and Ronnie Jarrett visited Cacciatore's office, unannounced, demanding a payment of what was eventually revealed to be $2 million. When Cacciatore resisted, the intimidation turned grotesque. Nick Calabrese testified that on orders from LaPietra, he placed dead rats with miniature nooses tied around their necks on the antenna of Cacciatore's car. This was a clear message: pay or die. Terrified, Cacciatore sought a sit-down with LaPietra, whom he viewed as the neighborhood patriarch. He pleaded for LaPietra's help. LaPietra played the role of reluctant savior. He claimed that the threats were coming from uncontrollable elements, but promised to negotiate a settlement. LaPietra settled the matter by telling Cacciatore he had to pay the $2 million to make the problem go away. The trial revealed that the entire sequence was theater. LaPietra had ordered the threats himself. He used his subordinates to create the danger so that he could step in and collect the ransom. This testimony stripped away the myth of LaPietra as a community protector, exposing him as a predatory manipulator who fed on the very neighbors he claimed to defend. The family secrets trial also solved the mystery of the 1986 murders of Anthony and Michael Spilatro. Anthony the Ant Spilatro, the outfit's overseer in Las Vegas, had become a liability due to his high profile and erratic behavior. The order to kill him came from the highest levels, Iupa, Cerrone, and LaPietra. Nick Calabrese testified that he and other members of the outfit participated in the hit. He identified Angelo LaPietra as the capo who authorized the use of members of his crew for the operation. The brothers were lured to a basement in Bensenville, Illinois, on the pretense of a promotion for Michael, where they were beaten and strangled to death. This testimony linked LaPietra directly to one of the most infamous crimes in mob history. It confirmed that the 26th Street crew was not just a local gambling ring, but the outfit's primary instrument of enforcement for its most sensitive national problems. In the traditional code of the mafia, the home of a boss, even a deceased one, is sacred ground. The family is off limits. However, by 2010, the Chicago outfit was a hollow shell, its codes eroded by greed, desperation, and the attrition of its membership. Nothing illustrated this collapse more vividly than the attempted home invasion of Angelo LaPietra's widow. The plot was hatched by three aging gangsters: Joseph Jerry Scalise, 73, Arthur the Genius, Rachel, 71, and Robert Bobby Puglia, 69. Scalise and Rachel were not common burglars. They were legends. In 1980, they had executed the brazen daylight robbery of Graff's Jewelers in London, stealing the 45-carat Marlborough diamond, a gem worth nearly $1 million that has never been recovered. The motivation for the break-in was a rumor born from the family secrets trial. Following the conviction of Frank Calabrese Sr., federal agents had raided his home in Oak Brook, Illinois, and discovered a treasure trove of cash, diamonds, and firearms hidden in secret compartments behind family portraits. Scalise and Rochelle, observing this from the sidelines, applied a simple logic. If the underling, Calabrese, had a fortune hidden in his walls, the boss, LaPietra, must have had left behind an even greater hoard. They believed that LaPietra's widow, who still lived in a massive brick home near Shields Avenue, was unknowingly sitting on millions of dollars in skimmed Las Vegas cash and jewels that the FBI had failed to find. Unbeknownst to the trio, the FBI was already watching them. Agents had bugged their vehicle and were monitoring their conversations as they planned the heist. The tapes revealed a mix of senile bickering and professional tradecraft. On April 8, 2010, the FBI moved in. They could not risk a home invasion turning violent. As Scalise, Rochelle, and Puglia approached the LaPietra residence dressed in black and carrying their burglary kit, they were swarmed by agents. The subsequent trial was a spectacle of geriatrics. Scalise, Rochelle, and Puglia appeared in court, joking with reporters. Rochelle quipped that the trial was a crapshoot. Despite their levity, the charges were serious. They were convicted of racketeering and conspiracy to commit burglary. In 2012, they were sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison each. The judge noted the creepiness of the crime, targeting an elderly widow in her own home. The foil break-in served as a grim epitaph for the 26th Street crew. The soldiers were now cannibalizing the legacy of their generals. The fear that the Hook once commanded had evaporated, and his own men were now trying to drill into his walls to steal his money. That's a hell of a legacy, eh? So goes the story of Angelo LaPietra. Angelo's legacy within the Chicago outfit is complex. He was neither a flamboyant figure nor a headline seeker. He did not hold the title of boss, and he didn't command national attention. But he was one of the organization's most effective, trusted, and feared leaders. His nickname, the Hook, was an effective tool he used to inspire fear, using rumors of perceived violence, some true, some not. He helped modernize outfit finances. He maintained stability in Southside rackets for decades. He bridged the era from street brutality to corporate criminal enterprise. And through his relationships with men like Iupa, Accardo, Rhodey, Marcy, and the Calabrese brothers, he shaped the course of organized crime in Chicago throughout the second half of the 20th century. His name remains synonymous with discipline, intimidation, and the quiet professionalism that allowed the outfit to thrive for years. But in the end, his name was disrespected in death. And in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on the Hook. I'm James Jenkins. If you've enjoyed this video on Angelo J. LaPietra, come on people, you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and share. And be on the lookout for more James on the Mob. And as always, remember, life is short, so don't whack it off. See yous.